I have only run long once a month.
Wow.
And when they said that, or when they heard that, they like dropped their jaw and looked at me like, you're insane.
They didn't think you would keep up with the group.
And it was early enough that they just kind of rolled their eyes. Okay, he won't be around very long.
Yeah.
And the coolest part was I sped up and I left them in the middle of the marathon.
Welcome to the Unbroken Welcome to the Unbroken podcast with Chris Crosby. I got a real special guest, a patient endurance type mindset coach here, James Pettit. And the reason I'm laughing about that is because I've been here for an hour trying to get this thing to work, and he's been great and showing me lots of cool stuff with some of the programming he's doing and some of the races he's been doing. But I've been trying to get this.
Yeah, it's all right. Hey, patience is a virtue, especially in endurance. So we're fine, man.
Awesome.
Having fun.
We are having a blast. So hopefully we got it nailed down and figure out why is doing it. It was that thing that with the Dylan podcast, the last 10 minutes just started getting choppy. So I'm going to keep an eye on this, and hopefully we'll be able to just roll.
We'll just roll.
We'll just roll with it. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm really excited because I've been friends with James for about 2.5, almost 3 years. And just from being at the gym, and he was great. I came from a running background because when I first started losing weight, that's how I did it. I lost about 90 pounds just doing half marathons, and I did a marathon, being a runner. And that's what I knew. I watched this video, Ben Davis. Okay. And I'm going to try to get him on the podcast too. He lives down in Arkansas.
Awesome.
But he lost 120 pounds just running, and he did an Ironman.
Wow.
He did several marathons, and so watching his video really inspired me.
Wow, that's wild.
So I set up and I started doing the Couch to 5K, and I lost about 90 pounds doing just running.
That's insane.
Then I hurt myself, and I did the whole Oprah thing, put the weight back on, try to take it back off, and I figure since she's a billionaire, she does that, why can't I?
She's doing something right.
Yeah, so when I came into CrossFit, I met James, and he's just like, you're like, I'm a runner.
Yeah.
And you talked to my wife, Jen, who's a runner.
She's a runner.
And she was really nervous about doing CrossFit, and you really kind of put her at ease. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize that I put her at ease until quite a while later.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know she was nervous about it. I mean, she and you are so calm and confident when you're around other people at the gym that I had no idea. But because going into the gym is kind of an intimidating place, and as runners, we're like we run, we're fine.
Yeah.
We don't need to go bang and clang some weights around and scream and we kind of think it's odd.
Yeah.
And so, but there is a happy medium between being a runner and endurance only kind of person.
Yeah.
And a hardcore CrossFitter weightlifter guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I like about CrossFit is they talk about several different aspects of fitness. Mm-hmm. And like, I just did the running thing beforehand, but now I run, I'll go run a mile or two. I won't go do like a 12-mile run, which I might start doing again soon because
cool.
I've been talking about doing another half.
I think you should do it, man.
Just because, I mean, there's something about sitting down in a pace and just running and just going and having between you and your thoughts, or sitting there with a friend and you're just going.
Settle in, low and slow, and go out, and it's really enjoyable once you get settled in that pace and that continuous movement.
Yeah, like with anything fitness-wise, like I remember when I walked into a CrossFit gym and I just started seeing people climbing ropes, and I saw people doing muscle-ups or pull-ups, and I'm like, I'm never going to do that. I remember I saw people running, and someone said that they ran for a few hours straight, and I was just like, no.
Nope. No, thanks.
I see that mailbox over there. I don't know if I can get to that mailbox, let alone sitting back. But with anything, it's consistency. Once you, some people are naturally gifted and they could pick it up a lot quicker.
True, but I think that's human nature, is to automatically compare yourself to the people you immediately see.
Yeah.
And it's a tendency as humans to automatically look at the people who are doing the most output and the people who look the best.
Yeah.
So when you're at the gym, when you were at the gym for the first time, you're probably looking at the biggest guy in the gym, the person who's lifting the most weights.
Right.
And whenever you see that going on, you automatically compare yourself to that.
Right.
And if you set that standard, you will fail every time.
Yep.
But if you look at it relatively, and because that's what CrossFit really is all about.
Yeah.
It's relative fitness, it's relative intensity. It's all about how hard you go for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
really
they say,
the key to life.
I mean, they say run your own race.
True.
And I mean, use an endurance metaphor, but like you take care of yourself.
You just run your own race. I mean, and awards are totally irrelevant at races, because how you do it. You should be awarded for every PR.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be awarded for being first in your age division. One, if you're the only person in your age division, and two, if you were 3 minutes slower on a 5K, you shouldn't be awarded for that.
You're always striving to better yourself. Who cares what Sally's doing?
True. It's
all
all should be compared to what you are capable of doing.
Now it's fun to have someone to chase.
It is.
But that's what your level is. But if you don't beat Sally today, you strive to beat Sally tomorrow. But you also don't go to like this person who's an Olympic, runner, and you're like, I'm gonna be able to run a sub 2-hour marathon someday. I mean, like it's setting the realistic goals.
Yeah, you got to be realistic with yourselves, because if you go in and say right off the bat, I want to have a back squat of 405 pounds. You have to know where you are, because if you barely have a back squat of 200 pounds,
right,
you're either one, going to hurt yourself trying to do it, or two, you're just going to be really frustrated.
Right.
It's all about relative goals and relative
working up to
work.
it. And it takes work.
Absolutely, it does. It takes a lot of work, and people don't really realize it takes so much time,
right,
to get to where you want to go, and that's where a lot of people fall off in the fitness journey.
Yeah, they get really gung ho for the first little bit, and then they realize that it's not. There's no 5-minute montage video. I mean, they have to fill in those gaps of the highlights.
Absolutely.
And have those low times and their high times. And
real life begins to, you have to work it back into real life at some point, because everybody, once you start CrossFit or, really just exercise in general, you're all about it. I mean, you can tell everyone, especially on Facebook, who starts out exercising recently, they put every ounce of exercise they do on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then you can tell that's great. They're excited about it, but then eventually they fade.
Yeah.
And it's
well, that's what I tell people when I see them first come into the gym, and I see them coming 5-6 days in a row, and I was just like, hey, I'm really glad that you're really excited about this. Yeah. But remember, rest days are just as important. Don't feel like you need to kill yourself the first day, and I don't want to take the wind out of their sails, but I've seen too many times where people are just like CrossFit or die, or even running and die, and then they just like they'll injure themselves because they're not letting themselves rest.
And CrossFit has such a strong culture like that. There's always someone there. They're like talking about the workouts and texting people the night before saying, "Oh man, did you see the workout tomorrow?
Partner workout, me and you."
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I mean, it's really great, but people fly too close to the sun sometimes, and that's what causes injuries and just burnout, because if it's not a feasible lifestyle, it's not going to be sustainable.
Right.
And a fit lifestyle is a sustainable lifestyle, and not a sprint. It's a marathon.
It's a marathon. Well, let's talk a little about James. I know we've done this a few other times on our other tugs, but James he's a lawyer. That's his day job. So during the day, he's fighting for the the rights of the citizens of Aurora and all over.
Absolutely. The individuals represent the unrepresented individuals.
That's awesome. So what kind of law do you practice?
You name it except divorce and custody law.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all sorts of things that you're just out representing people and
get to work in my family law practice. It's been here for about 75 years.
So 4 generations. I thought it was 3, but it's actually 4.
It's actually 4. I'm the third Pettit to be doing this, and then my dad's grandmother, or grandfather, I'm sorry, was a lawyer up in Steelville, Missouri.
Wow.
And so it's pretty cool.
So law runs through the veins.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. So you want the next Pettit down the chain, maybe?
Only,
want to.
that's far, far away from anything I'm even thinking about right now.
I mean, no kids in the near future?
I hope not, at least.
So James is a lawyer. That's what he does in his day job, and he's really good at it. And I see him even talking to some people at the gym, helping them out every now and then with certain things that they have questions with.
Whether or not you know it, everyone will need a lawyer
Someday,
point in their life.
So James Pettit.
Yeah, that's what I do. But it's the thing I like to do in my spare time to kind of keep my sanity is all this fitness. And staying healthy and kind of helping other people. I like to help other people.
That's awesome.
And so helping them through fitness.
Yeah. So you're a CrossFit coach, and you're level 1 endurance certified as well.
That is correct.
And that's kind of what you've been specializing in in our gym. You'll coach a class every now and then, but you mostly do our endurance programming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and you do all the programming.
Really been lucky to be at Republic, and they've allowed me to kind of specialize and find this niche of endurance and running and really monostructural activity.
Yeah.
And really pigeonhole that, because there are a lot of people out there who don't want to lift the weights.
Yeah.
And I feel like I kind of bring that to the table. I've got experience in running and endurance. I've done every kind of running workout or endurance workout you can name, and I feel like I am able to help teach people that.
From triathlons to marathons to 5Ks.
That's right.
So
I've run every distance, 100-meter sprint up to marathon.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
And it's cool to see how people that have been doing your endurance classes, how they've improved, and they've been doing races and stuff now, and setting PRs left and right.
That's the coolest part. And being able to see a person not able to run 400 meters without stopping. We've got a gal in endurance right now who, when she came about almost a year ago, she couldn't run 400 meters without stopping. Now she's running 4 miles.
That's awesome.
At about a 9-minute pace.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's wild to see how far she's come. And it comes through dedication and just being there consistently.
Yeah.
And she knows that it wasn't going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
And just the drive that people have
and so
leads to success like that. But I'm really excited that I get to do really both ends of the spectrum, the fitness spectrum, because while I'm doing the endurance class in Republic, I also have been given a really great opportunity with Power and Grace to use some of my endurance techniques and workouts on their competitive athletes.
Yeah. Now, Power and Grace is a training program for some.
It is a strength and conditioning brand, essentially, that was created by Spencer Arnold, and this guy's a genius. What he has done, he knows his athleticism. He knows what it takes to be competitive and successful in a sport, and what he has done. I mean, it blows me away.
And he was an Olympic weightlifter.
Yes.
And brought on kind of CrossFit
He
into
has,
his.
yeah. I mean, he has really incorporated CrossFit into his weightlifting principles.
Mm-hmm.
And the coolest part about it is he understands that his focus is weightlifting, and his niche is that. And he has really created a team of people and a program that embodies everything that CrossFit is. Because a person, it takes 7 different people to completely coach a games athlete.
Okay.
There's 7 different kinds of coaches that can be out there. And what they have done, this Power and Grace team, is really recognize the diversity and have incorporated all the aspects that it takes to create a competitive athlete. And it's pretty cool.
That is awesome. And so
see.
kind of a one-stop shop. And so like I know that they post a lot of those workouts on their website and stuff like that. So.
Absolutely. And that's sometimes when you see workouts on the website, it's misleading because you think, oh, this person wrote these workouts and these workouts and these workouts. What those workouts are really collaborating between multiple coaches to see what athletes need.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see where that Power and Grace goes.
So that's exciting. So you're coaching on the real local level, and you're also able to coach some real elite.
Absolutely,
athletes.
And I love seeing both ends. Like we were talking just a little bit ago, how I'm doing a little bit of boot camp stuff for some people I know.
Yeah, let's tell them about that, because like this is something you kind of built from the ground up.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't even seek it out at first. I was just, I'd been coaching endurance, and it's sort of at Republic. It's sort of a boot camp sort of thing. We specialize in long workouts and not complex barbell movements.
Right.
So I did that for a while, and then I was approached by a few people around here who said, hey, would you write us a few workouts? We're trying to lose weight and things like that. And so it's kind of morphed into this thing. It's actually called James's Death Camp.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Anything with death in there. But the thing that stood out to me is you have a accountability aspect of it that would motivate most people.
Yeah, and one thing that I talked to these people who asked me to do this, I was like, I don't want to do this if you're just going to mess around, do this for 2 weeks.
You don't want to waste your time.
And I waste a few hours writing exercises for you guys just to not do it. And so what this program is based around is accountability and finding ways to force the participants to incorporate this in their daily life. There's an exercise and a nutrition component. There are 5 workouts for the week. Everyone has to do a workout, post a picture in our group that shows that they did the workout and show their results. And then the other thing they have to post every day is nutrition. And we do MyFitnessPal tracking. They set a reasonable goal, and then assuming they do well for the day, they don't have any punishment.
Now, describe the punishment that they have to do.
And I guess I shouldn't call it punishment. Really, it's motivation by financial. We're going after people's wallets.
Because that motivates.
Yeah. So if you don't do a workout during the week, it is a fine. It's like a $3 fine for every workout you don't do that we write. There is a fine for going over your calorie goal. I think it's like a $3 fine.
Yeah. Do you do a fine if they're like too low as well?
No,
Okay.
I don't. That's not really been an issue because MyFitnessPal doesn't actually let people end their day log if they haven't had more than 1,000 calories net.
I didn't know that.
And so that really kind of takes care of itself.
Okay.
And and also if they don't log at all, and you just like forget it, I'm not doing it today. $5 fine.
Yeah. Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, what this is designed is to really encourage people to incorporate just a little bit of exercise and monitoring the things they put into their mouths, and to make it real life.
That's cool.
Capable.
And so these people kind of approached you, and you wrote this program, and they've been
It's been going, yeah, it's been going pretty strong
Week
for a while.
6, is that what you said?
Yeah, we're on week 6 right now, and at the end of each month, I give all of the fines that I have collected to the person I have deemed as doing the best and putting out the most work. And even in I think it was at the 4-week mark, they all said they'd lost like 5 pounds.
That's awesome.
And I mean, lots of inches, and it's pretty cool.
That's really awesome
to see that kind of success.
Now, you talk about programming. So you program for the endurance class, you program for elite athletes, you program kind of a boot camp kind of thing.
Yeah.
What's your approach to programming these things? Like, how do you approach that?
Well, you have to start with the goal. What do you want to do with the exercises and your cycle, that you're doing?
Okay.
And it has to be goal oriented, because if you don't know where you want to go or what you want to do, you're just going to be driving around aimlessly.
Yeah.
So what we do is and each group is different. So like at Republic, our goal is to get better at workouts that are 20 to 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we work on different aspects that are going to help us there. Really our lactic threshold, VO2 max, being able to work harder for longer.
Mm-hmm.
But then for the boot camp people, what we're doing is just trying to get our heart rate up.
Yeah.
And just forcing a person to become active and burn more calories and give them a reason to get out and do things. And then lastly, for the competitive athletes, we're looking at very specifically how to increase a person's lactic threshold, measuring heart rates and recovery times. All of that goes into what specifically makes up a person's endurance and their ability to do more work over a longer period of time.
That's one thing that I've noticed in the games lately is the CrossFit game, or even in like competitions, even local ones, you're seeing a lot more endurance type workouts.
Yeah. And I think it gets overlooked quite a bit. And I probably say that because I'm a runner.
Right.
I'm like, it's not exercise unless it's over 30 minutes long. But it's hard for a competition setting to do anything in the way of endurance for one workout.
Yeah, I remember, was it 2 Tangers ago? Tanger is a competition in Branson, Missouri.
Tanger Throwdown.
The Throwdown. They did a 5K, and you would have thought a child was murdered in front of a bunch of CrossFitters.
Oh my gosh.
Just the tantrums and the...
because it wasn't heavy weightlifting
No.
and flexing and ripping your shirt off. It was boring running.
Yeah, a 5K. And the funny thing is, my wife and her partner are endurance athletes first.
They dominated it.
And they won that event.
Absolutely.
And it was funny. Dina was like, I think your wife and Crystal were the only ones that were excited about that event. But you were excited.
You guys were at the announcement where they, it was like a banquet before, and they announced, hey, we're going to have a 5K. And I'm pretty sure the entire room erupted with anger, except for
Jen and
Crystal.
Crystal.
They're like, high five.
Yeah, we got this.
So we're not going to get last.
Yeah, we did it.
And they did great. I mean, it's really cool.
Now, something that I want to get your thoughts on this. Macy programmed a workout not too long ago where you had to build up to close to a 1-rep max back squat. And then you take 75% of that, and then you just go. And I don't think it was a 1-rep max, but you just got a 1-rep heavy and then 75% of that.
I remember that exactly. Yeah, and then I think it was you build up to the heaviest 1-rep by the structured reps up until then, and then rest 2 minutes, and then do max reps at 75% of whatever you were able to do.
And you did 30.
I did 30 reps at 225.
And which everyone blew their mind. And then the next hour, my wife built up to a PR 1-rep max, and then she threw 75, and she did 25 reps, and everyone was just like,
it's the ability, it's endurance. I mean, runners' legs, you have no idea what they can do. I mean, if you have run and run and run and run, you have the ability to do lots of work, stress your legs really hard for a long period of time. And that doesn't mean a long period of time only as in an hour, it means the relative amount of stress can be stretched longer.
I did the workout and I did like 10 and I thought I was going to die. And it put in relative that seeing you and Jen, endurance athletes, and anyone who didn't was endurance, was able to do that. And I think it's not just, I mean, you're used to your legs being under
stress for a long period of time.
But I think it was also the mental, because I kept on telling them I had to keep talking myself into every rep. Let's talk about the mental aspect of endurance.
Oh, I know. You have to be so patient and be able to see the big picture, because if you lose the forest in the trees, you're going to get lost. You're going to hate it. Exactly like that squat workout. If you see this, if you look at the weight as something, I've done this, 3 or 4 times. This is probably my 4 rep max. Once you get to that 4 rep, you're going to mentally be checked out. Like, I got to where I thought I needed to be. I'm done. But if you see this as a goal of going as far as you can, like, if I've done this, I mean, relative to what you've done before, like I've done this 4 times. I'm stronger now. I can do this. I feel like I'm X% stronger. I can do 4 or 5 more reps.
Yeah.
And then you put that at your goal. And then if you can exceed that is great. The goal, I mean, of an endurance person is to go as long as you can. Exercise just over and over and over.
I remember when I first started running, because I've ran a marathon and I've done several halves.
Yeah.
And teaching myself tricks on, like, I can make it to the next mailbox. I can make it to that next street light. Or I would do techniques where I would count my breaths, because then I wouldn't be thinking about
how terrible running is.
Yeah,
exactly.
And how much my legs hurt, my lungs are on fire. When someone, as a coach, what are some of the tricks that you teach your athletes on the mental side of endurance? Because, I mean, let's be honest, getting better at endurance is doing endurance. And a lot of people, it's really hard mentally to do that.
It really is. And that's the biggest barrier I think most people have to running long distances is it's boring. Frankly, if you're out there doing the same monostructural activity over and over and over for, not even an hour, but like 30 minutes, if you have nothing to think about, listen to, you'll drive yourself crazy. So when I started running, I just listen to music.
Yeah.
Bring an iPod and just run around. I know it's not the most safe thing in the world, but neither is running with my own thoughts. But it's all about finding a purpose, a mental purpose while you're out there.
Yeah. So like a goal at mind, or
or even if it's just solidarity, being by yourself for 30 minutes. I mean, I loved doing that. Whenever I first started, it's a great way to detox at the end of a day,
right?
Or even at the beginning of the day, to think about what you got to do and get your mind kickstarted.
Yeah. I love the story that you shared with the Learn To class. I had a bunch of friends that started doing Learn To, and when you were teaching the Learn To classes, about how you started even being fit. Like, you were in college, you were a smoker, and what. Tell that story, like how you decided you were gonna start running.
Well, I was in college. I had gone as a college freshman from working out a lot through high school sports to working out none, like all within a 4-month time period. And I added a lot of weight, especially when you've got a buffet in college.
All cafeteria food, man.
It's all paid for. Shoot, I'm just going to go eat everything I can fit into my mouth.
Yeah.
And so, the freshman 15 turns into the freshman 30. And as freshmen, you're not a smart person, so you're out partying and doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And so at some point, I was like, I got to stop this. Like, I got to quit doing this. And so, I mean, it's embarrassing to say after the fact, but, I remember as a kid, I was a stupid person who was like trying to rush a fraternity, and I would smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
And like the next day, I'm like, I am running a mile for every cigarette I smoked. And I did that. And I mean, it was punishment for just really being an idiot.
Yeah.
And then it turned into motivation, like to stay away from stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so you just turn your focus from something negative to something positive all at one time.
So you started running, but because you're as a punishment, but you started seeing some changes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I felt better. I was able to move around. I wasn't, as fat anymore.
Were you able to focus more on school?
Absolutely. I was able to be a real student.
You were. It's funny how that running or any kind of fitness, it helps burn off some of that just junk.
Yeah, it helps you find some clarity in what's going on, and without that, you could be a lost person for a long time, and think you're on the right track, but really have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And so that's why I love it. It allows you, especially running, because running allows you to be by yourself, to do something. It's almost like meditation, where you're just focusing on who you are, where you are, and what you're doing. And that helps, I think, a lot of people.
There's sometimes where I'd make my wife mad, and she's like, I'm going to go for a run for the sanctity of our marriage and for my own sanity.
You are welcome.
Yeah, and she'd go and run 4 or 5 miles, and she'd come back feeling tons better. It's a most underused antidepressant or stress reliever in fitness.
Absolutely. I mean, there is science behind it. There are endorphins that are created by the stress that your body goes through, and it helps you process, mentally what's going on. I mean, I'm sure you used that when you were doing your running.
Yeah, I did, and I still do it now with CrossFit. If I have a really cruddy day at work, and I go in and just get after a workout and just leave it all on the floor, and just that feeling afterwards is awesome.
There's a lot to be said about, when you're just really frustrated, just go out and give every ounce that you got, because you feel like you can work a little extra on those days you're upset, and you just feel you leave yourself in a puddle on the floor. And I think there's some value in that, to just wipe yourself clean.
So let's talk about that that saying that all the CrossFit endurance coaches say, you know which one I'm talking about? Run further than a lifter and lift more.
Outrun a lifter and outlift a runner. Because in the whole goal of that, it's a T-shirt. I've got it. It's hilarious. The whole goal is to have a broad view of fitness. Fitness is not being able to lift 1,000 pounds.
Right.
Fitness is not being able to run 100 miles. Fitness is the in-between, and being able to do multiple things, because sure, people do specialize to do both of those things I mentioned, but it's because they're paid to do it, more than likely.
You almost have to sacrifice other things to get to that level.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at a marathoner, they sacrifice a lot of strength to be a competitive marathoner. And you look at heavy power lifters, they sacrifice a lot of cardio capabilities because they have such large muscle mass.
Yeah. And
somewhere in the in-between, moderation is the key to life. And that's what I think really this endurance-minded program is all about. I think on our website, cfrendurance.com, I have the goal is to actually help both runners and weightlifters to become more moderate, really. runners to get stronger, so they don't break down as much. Weightlifters to get a little cardio and endurance, so they don't lift 1,000 pounds in a workout and then stand around for the next 5 minutes trying to catch your breath
because they can't do anything else.
Exactly.
And one of the things that I liked that you shared was not only when you started incorporating CrossFit and weightlifting into your aspect, because before you just ran. You ran.
Yes.
But when you incorporate that, you started setting PRs.
Yeah, that's the craziest part, and that's what I love to tell these runners who I am trying to convince, because a runner's mindset is so narrow.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but it's true, because when you run, you feel like you are on top of the world, that your fitness and your plan is the greatest that you can have. But whenever I introduced CrossFit to my training plan, I PR'd in every distance, literally every distance, except the marathon, within the first 3 years.
Yeah.
And I remember going and having the first squat workout at a CrossFit gym, and they were doing a 1-rep max, which was a perfect, first squat workout for me. I think I lifted 205 pounds.
Yeah.
And I was blown away.
You thought you probably could do more.
Yeah, well, I was able to in high school. I squatted 405.
Wow.
In high school. I don't know how. I'm sure it was because of the high school standards, which are not exactly hip crease below the knee. But I was able to put that amount of weight on and rep it out.
Yeah.
It was wild. And to lose 200 pounds on a squat capability,
eye-opening.
I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was probably 160 pounds when I came back or began CrossFit.
Yeah.
But as I worked on both, I continued to run as I did CrossFit and realized the value of different styles of workouts to meet different needs. I began to do sprint workouts, incorporate sprints, even weighted runs with a sandbag or a weight vest or a sled that changed the work that your legs have to put out. And by varying the training and the stimulus is how you get better.
Yeah.
Because the body adapts.
Yeah.
Really well.
To about, you say the body that adapts. It made me think of the guy that did an Ironman every day for, did he do like 50 days or something like that?
It was something insane, more than a month. It was wild. Yeah. And that became part of a routine for his body, and his body adapted.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why you see all these skinny marathoners out there. They run 50 miles a week, and their bodies show it, because when you run, your body begins to atrophy where it doesn't need muscle, and it just reinforces the areas that do. And that's why virtually all runners who have ever run a marathon have had IT band problems.
Oh, interesting.
You lose strength in your legs, which reduces it causes your form to break down, and as you lose the strength in your legs, your muscles get tight whenever they've been stressed, and causes all sorts of leg pains.
Now, because I know that one of my old coaches at the Nixa running, she would always emphasize cross training.
Yeah.
Now, would you? We probably both agree. We feel like CrossFit is probably the best.
It depends on what the goal is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what would you recommend someone, even if they're just like, CrossFit really isn't for me. I'm a runner, but I do need to do some kind of.
I think any kind of strength programming. It depends on where you start. If you're a runner. Like my own dad, he runs all the time. I've gotten him to come to CrossFit a little bit.
Yeah.
But I say you are having these breakdowns because you're not doing any strength programming, you're not lifting weights, and your body is slowly decaying or wasting away because your body doesn't need those heavy lifting muscles. And those heavy lifting muscles actually have a lot of value in holding your body together.
Yeah.
But it just depends on what the person's goal is. If you're beginning as a runner, you need to lift weights, I think, honestly, at least twice a week.
Okay.
Because once you're just not doing it enough, and it leaves the door open for too much running.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm was really actually proud of. I just ran a marathon, as you know.
Yeah.
Last Sunday.
That's awesome.
1 week ago.
Yeah.
And the coolest part about running was running with a pace group. I hadn't run one in probably 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And the pace group I was running with, they'd run 80 marathons or something insane that. And we were talking about our training plans, and I asked him how many miles they ran a week. And he was like, well, probably 50 to 70. I was like, you're insane.
That's a lot of miles.
That's wild.
I think my most in 1 week was like 105. Not a week, a month. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
Well, my biggest week was.
I was going to say, I've never run a century.
Step up your game, James.
In a week. That's insane. But I've actually been using myself as a guinea pig for this marathon, and I've got another one coming up in December. I have only run long once a month. Wow. And when they said that, or when they heard that, they like dropped their jaw and looked at me like, you're insane.
They didn't think you would keep up with the group.
And it was early enough that they just kind of rolled their eyes. Okay, he won't be around very long.
Yeah.
And the coolest part was I sped up and I left them in the middle of the marathon. And what I've been doing is once a month run long. And by long, I mean I started 6 or 7 months ago with about 10 miles.
Okay.
And then every month I would go up about 2 miles at a time. And between the two, I would lift weights. I've been on a squat program. I have been doing speed work. And I guess...
So you weren't just sitting around eating potato chips. You were putting work in.
True. Yeah, I mean, doing exercise and with this goal in mind, but doing it in sort of an unconventional way, which is training your body, continue to train, but train other muscles. Train it to lift weights heavy. Train it to row, and even skills.
Yeah. So were you still putting like 3 or 4 miles in the day sometimes, or how did you treat your short maintenance runs?
Well, my goal was to run 3 days a week, but it really ended up being 2 days a week at best. So about once a week, I'd go out for a little 3-mile run.
Yeah.
Just to get a little maintenance run, remind my body what it's doing, to go out for.
And I'd still see you in the gym on, 2 or 3 times a week too.
Yeah. And that's the goal, is just to incorporate CrossFit into this, because I can't program for myself. I've tried that. And
it's so hard.
It's a pain in the butt.
Like, we all know what we need to do, but it's just sticking to your own program is sometimes a challenge.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
I mean, just like the fitness lifestyle, you've got to find something that is sustainable and that you'll continue to do. And I think this is something I can continue to do.
Yeah. And the cool thing is you told me that your recovery from this marathon has been the best recovery that you've had from any of them.
It's been awesome. I squatted on Wednesday.
Yeah.
3 days after I ran a marathon.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like I based my percentages off of
1 rep max or anything.
Yeah, I mean, but I was still able to hit 245 on front squat a couple times.
That's awesome. Hey.
And I mean, it was right after a marathon.
Yeah. And then you did a 5K on the rower with us the day after that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, on Tuesday. I mean, it's all about,
It's all about maintain. I mean, it's a lifestyle.
Yes, moderation. Yeah. Sorry, that's the word I'm trying to think of here. And pulling from different aspects of fitness to create a holistic fitness instead of, I'm training for a marathon, therefore I will only run for the next 6 months of my life.
Yeah. And people do that. I mean, that's just like, because that's one of the things that, and I'm glad we're talking about this, because that's one thing I'm like, well, I'm going to start doing a half marathon. And I told someone about it, and they're like, are you going to stop doing CrossFit then? And I'm like, no, I might wake up early and a couple days a week and run 3 or 4 miles, and then I'll run long on the weekends.
Exactly.
And
That's a perfect plan. And for a guy like you who has great strength, I think that's a feasible plan to run maybe one long every other weekend.
Yeah.
And then run maybe once or twice during each week, 2 or 3 miles, just to get your body used to it.
Yeah, because I'm doing like a 2-mile walk every day at lunch.
Yeah.
But I mean, I want to start running. I mean, running for me was something that I was losing weight. That was the reward. And and like we were saying, anything that you do consistently, you start getting better at it. And I was running 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So I was getting better at it. I could run 8 or 9 miles without stopping.
Wow.
And for me, that's a
big deal.
I can't do it now because my focus is
It's not
changed.
your goal.
But I don't feel like if in the programming for the day, if we have to run 2 miles in the workout, it's not so intimidating for me because I know I could do it. I might not be the first one, and I'm never the first one in on a running workout.
Yeah.
But I know that I can use some of those tricks that I learned as a runner to try to help me do that full 800 meters and back, and then 800 meters and back.
You know you're head and shoulders above what you were able to do before.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's encouragement in itself.
Yeah. So
It's fun.
you talked about your dad. He's a runner.
He is.
So has he been a runner as long as you can remember?
No, that's actually a really funny story. I guess he was. For when I was a kid, I remember him going out and running just to get some fitness. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember I was about 8 or 9, and he was out on a run, and he made me ride my bike with him. Mm-hmm. And it was a 3-mile loop. It's here in town.
Yeah.
And I thought it was child abuse for me to ride my bike 3 miles.
I mean,
And it was probably about 1.5 miles into it. I was like, this is terrible. I was just making his life terrible at that point. So I remember him saying, okay, if you think it's easier to run, why don't we just switch? And so we switched, and I started running. I ran probably 100 feet. I go, this is even worse. Give me the bike back. Never doing this again. And he literally said that was the last time he ran, from the time I was 8 to the time I was 21.
wow.
And I killed it in him. And once I was starting to figure out that I needed to run in college and beginning this healthy lifestyle, I talked him into doing, I think it was the first or second annual Bass Pro 5K.
That's awesome.
And that was the first one we did, and I got a picture of it. I bought one of those cheesy pictures, and it's hilarious to see us. We're wearing basketball shorts, hoodies, the ear bands that cover our ears. I mean, it was
You didn't even really have running shoes on, I bet. You just
I'm sure they were just tennis shoes.
Yeah.
We were like, we've got tennis shoes. This is fine.
Run.
And our time was, I think, 29:57.
Yeah.
In our first 5K, and we're like, okay, cool,
nailed
30
it.
minutes,
Yeah.
that's great. And that was so those were the 2 runs that he had. His last one when I was 8, and his next one when I was 21. And so that was really cool too.
Did you guys talk about it then on that run, or he was just like, you know what, the last time I ran is when you cried the whole time?
No, we didn't really talk about it, and I didn't really know that.
Yeah.
I just assumed that he continued to run, and he just didn't torture me and make me ride my bike with him anymore. But he told me that was literally the last time, and I can remember that plain as day.
Now, what kind of races does he like to do?
He does half marathons now.
Yeah.
I think he really likes to train for those. Now he's finished 2 half marathons this fall.
Wow.
And so he's going to probably hang it up for the wintertime, kind of bounce back
Come
down.
back and start rowing again with the...
I think he is.
That's cool. That's how I met him. Like, I remember we were talking about, I was doing a lot of my 5Ks on the rower. We have 5K Tuesday. Yeah, every Tuesday. If anyone wants to come row with me, 5K on Tuesday. We would do 5K Tuesday, and I started doing the endurance classes with you, which are awesome and brutal.
Yeah.
Especially on the rower. And and we talked a lot about his I talked about how I'm going to do this row. We were about to do 5K pace.
Yeah.
And he was just like, that's going to be terrible. And I'm like, oh, no, not a running 5K pace. And he's like, oh, okay. Because in his mind, when he runs a 5K, it's like blackout. Like
it's running, of course.
One of my favorite memes that I've ever seen was a marathoner saying, oh, it's a 5K. It shouldn't be bad. And then like the next picture is like blood and gore everywhere. And they're like, I wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready. I mean, and every run can be like that, no matter how experienced you are. If you are truly racing a race, and if you don't feel like absolute death by the end of it, you didn't run it hard enough. And I mean, and that's the truth. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to run to feel so terrible.
I don't like feeling like death.
Exactly.
Well, I don't want to take much more of your time. I appreciate all you have, but I usually ask everyone if they had 3 tips. If someone came up to you and said, give me 3 tips on how to start any kind of the Unbroken podcast is about fitness, weightlifting, and weight loss.
Yeah.
So if someone came up to you and said, can you give me 3 tips on how
to incorporate that into or create a new...
Or just lose weight or start running or just become fit.
To become fit, a person who's never done it before.
Yeah.
The very first one would be find a group. Find a running group, a gym, even a partner, because it's all about accountability and forcing yourself to be around people who are doing the same thing you do. It's all about finding people with similar interests, because you're gonna want to do those things that those people are doing. And if it's fitness, you kind of force that on yourself. So I mean, a support group and just a group in general is key. Anything from like a death camp where you're sharing your MyFitnessPal results every day with each other, to a gym. I mean, it doesn't matter. Just sharing that community with somebody. Number 2, I think, would be moderation. Really in everything. Don't go out. If you've never run before, don't set a goal of running a marathon. That's the easiest way to either hate it or fail.
Or get injured.
Yes, to get injured, especially. That's going to make you, you just set yourself up for failure. There's
your first goal should, if it's run a half mile.
Yeah.
Get to that mile. I
mean, like you said, Couch to 5K. I mean, is a great program.
It's awesome.
It allows a person to. It's a zero entry into fitness
from the couch.
Exactly, literally, it is a nice, easy pace into the couch. Oh, and the third, I'm not sure. Because those are 2 pretty broad.
I just
categories. I would say invest in your fitness, because where your wallet is, your heart is.
Yeah.
And if you are, and not invest as in just go out and buy a bunch of brand new equipment that makes you kind of look like an idiot at a gym, honestly.
Check out everything CrossFit that I have on.
I've been doing this for 8 days.
I got the nanos, I got the wrist straps, I got the shirt. No.
Exactly. But, I mean,
and we've all done it.
Yeah, have a gym membership.
Yeah.
And do it. Pay to do 5Ks. One thing I love doing is a race at a different town.
Yeah.
Sort of a vacation race. Going to Memphis in December to run a marathon.
That'll be fun.
And it really puts it out there, saying you've got a goal, you've got a place to go, and you really put it into financial terms. Like, if you don't do that, then you're not going to go on the vacation. You're not going to actually go do anything, and you're wasting a lot of money. And when you have your money invested in this that really hits close to home.
Yeah.
And I think it helps motivate, but some people it could demotivate.
Yeah.
If you see yourself, if you see yourself wasting money, then you're like, well, you get grumpy about it. But
it even could be like invest. It doesn't have to be just like cash money. It could be invest in yourself and don't reward yourself with food, but you reward yourself with, if I do this thing, I might be able to get those shoes that I've been wanting.
Well, I mean, you need that reward to say, if I'm going to run this, I'm going to get a new pair of shoes afterwards.
Yeah. Or if I lose this weight, I get a new outfit.
Yeah.
Not I'm going to go get a buffet. Because that's what I used to do. I lost 5 pounds. I'm going to go celebrate at Hardee's.
5 pounds. And I've been there too.
Yeah.
And that was where I really was at the beginning of my fitness journey. But it's neither here nor there.
Now, I didn't ask you this beforehand. So, death camp. Is that something?
Death camp.
Is that something that might be down the road?
I am hoping to open this up sometime in the future.
Okay.
To make it available. Right now, it's sort of a test group. Using it on friends and family to really work out the kinks, see what works, what doesn't work. Because I think it would be a great program to allow people to do. It's really tough though, because it's easy to get people to sign up for things like that, especially when it's no money out of their pocket.
Right.
It's hard to keep people invested in it and motivated by it. And so we're playing with a little, things here and there. With it. So I'm hoping to roll it out.
If it goes live, let us know. We could talk about it again here.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And if people want to follow you social media wise,
I am the worst social media person in the world.
Yeah, you called Facebook Spacebook.
I know. I love calling it Spacebook because it's just this fictional land where, and I think, I don't want to rant on it too much, but it's like having a YouTube channel and watching all of the videos that your friends think are relevant and funny. But anyway, I don't want to go off.
No, you're good. Well, if they do want to be able to contact you and ask you any questions, is there like
absolutely go to cfrendurance.com. Okay. That's our CrossFit Republic webpage. I am on Facebook, James Pettit. Okay. I don't think I do have Twitters
or Instagram or anything like that.
Yeah, I got the IG. I love Instagram because you get to pick who you follow and you get to pick. Yeah. It's all relevant.
You don't have all the spam.
Oh, it's like a picture book for grown-ups.
Isn't it great?
It's really great. And they don't advertise as much. I really don't like the advertising that goes on Facebook.
So if it's all right with you, I'll go ahead and put all those links in the show description. So if people want to follow you on your endurance stuff and things like that.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that because I'm still in this because this is really just my hobby. I'm in this mode of, well, I don't really advertise anything. I have a day job, and sure, I'll help some people out with fitness. And I've kind of been playing around with the idea of opening it up and allowing other people to, and growing my capability to help people. Yeah. And so I'm kind of doing that both through the death camp and these Power and Grace athletes that we get to coach.
Well, that's awesome. Well, James, thank you so much for coming onto the Unbroken podcast.
I'm pretty honored that you would want to interview me, man. That's pretty cool.
And it's just someone that has your experience with endurance and CrossFit and stuff. I knew you'd be perfect for the show, so thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
And remember, listeners, if you like what you're hearing, go ahead and like and subscribe on the iTunes and Stitchers pages. And if you rate it and put a review, it helps other people find us, and we'd love to grow this as much as we can. So remember to live unbroken and come back and listen to the next one.
Awesome. Thanks for a great podcast.
Thanks, James. Bye.